Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to KSR's rapid reaction of Kentucky women's basketball's 94-89 win over the Florida Gators. Now, this was not supposed to be a close one, and it actually wasn't for the first, 8-10 minutes of the game, right? Actually, I could say the first 10 because Kentucky led, I believe it was 29-14 after the first quarter. And then all of a sudden, it's just the biggest meltdown in the history of meltdowns. But Kentucky pulls it out in the end. And like I said, wins 94-89. So like I was saying, to start the game, Kentucky, they get this big lead. And you're sitting there thinking, okay, this is why Florida is winless in the SEC. This right here is why the Gators haven't won a game. And this here is why Kentucky's going to win the game, right? You could just tell, like, Liv McGill and Miara O'Neal are really, really good. The rest of Florida's team, not so much. And you know what was really crazy, right? Kentucky gets out to that lead, and we're all sitting there comfortable thinking, okay, Kentucky's going to win. We're good. Let's go ahead and put a bow on this one. And then all of a sudden, Florida, who shoots like 20, I want to say like 25 to 30% from three. I can't remember the exact number right now. And like that team, who is not a good shooting team from three, that is, they start hitting everything. Like for the duration of the game, Florida shot like 60% from the field, and I believe they finished shooting like right at 50%. But Florida was making everything. And what was frustrating for me was, okay, Kentucky's defense was not playing well. Like it didn't take a basketball scientist to see that, right? Kentucky was giving up shots, lanes to the rim, and Florida was scoring almost at will, right? But at the same time, there were a lot of those possessions when Florida was kind of building up to come back and then eventually take the lead, where Kentucky was playing actually not bad defense. Like if you just watch the play itself, like Liv McGill, she got a hand in her face. Miara O'Neal, a hand in her face. And like the contested threes were falling in. The weird, like they go up for trying to draw a foul at the rim and it somehow rolls in the hoop. Those were falling in. And it got to a point where Kentucky was down by, I believe, 7. I believe 73-66 was the largest deficit Kentucky experienced in this game. And for me, I don't know about you all, I wasn't even worried about Kentucky losing, as Florida was making that comeback. And it honestly took me till about Florida got up about 4 or 5 where I really started to think, oh, wait, can Kentucky lose this? Like, is this about to happen right now? But Kentucky pulls it out. And let me tell you, I think the basketball gods kind of just wanted to treat us to an exciting basketball game, right? Kentucky got out to that big lead. And I think the basketball gods above us said, okay, hold on, let's put that on pause. Let's have a good game tonight. This game is on SEC Network Plus, right? It's kind of shoved away, from the spotlight. Let's bring it to the spotlight. And then all of a sudden, this is a really good game. And, I mean, those last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter were objectively tremendous, right? If you were just, someone national setting or, a neutral observer watching that game, you are thinking to yourself, that was a really good basketball game, especially towards the end. I thought what was interesting, and again, to bring up the basketball gods, how I was talking about how every Florida shot seemed like it would just roll in no matter what really happened. All of a sudden, Kentucky makes the comeback. They tie the game. Now those shots that Florida was, they were getting them to fall in, Florida, and Miara O'Neal specifically, would go up for a layup, and all of a sudden the ball would hang on the rim, roll around, and fall out, right into Clara Strack or Asia Boone or whoever's hands, right? And speaking of Clara Strack, she had a great game. I believe she had 20. Can't remember off the top of my head. It was a double-double. Can't remember the numbers. I need to start looking at the numbers right before I come on these. But she had, I think it was like 22 and 11, something like that, right? And then Tony Morgan. Don't know how that mix-up happens. But Tony Morgan, she had 26 and 13 assists, that is. So 2 great games from them. Tony did turn over the ball a little bit. But Clara Strack picks up that 4th foul. And this is where you really start to go, oh, man, It'd be nice to have Tiani Key right now. It'd be nice to have someone like her to kind of be able to put in, but just the kind of situation Kentucky was in, right? Lexi Blue got a lot of playing time. Kaylin Carroll, of course, got a lot of playing time. Um, I don't think either of them actually played tremendous tonight. Kaylin specifically, I was watching, and to me, it felt like was kind of not getting picked apart defensively, but you could tell she just couldn't quite. Like I always felt like Kaylin was a step behind defensively. And Lexi Blue, she hit some big threes kind of early in the game to get that, to get that early lead, but I also don't know if she played her best game defensively. Asia Boone also didn't. I want to say, okay, Asia Boone is tough because she hit some really big shots, and offensively, I think you can say she played pretty well for the most part. Defensively, she had the really, really tough assignment of guarding Liv McGill, who had 20 and 11, I believe. And, Liv McGill, let me tell you guys, I wrote about it and talked about it on the podcast, but if you didn't listen to that or happen to read what I was saying, Liv McGill is truly one of the best point guards in the country. And, she's at Florida, a team that I don't know how well they're going to do this season. Kenny Brooks was talking about in his post-game press conference. I think Florida can give teams some trouble, but I don't know how good they'll actually really be. I don't know what their record is going to end up being. But Liv McGill is really good. Like, she's averaging 23, 5, and 5, and I think 3 steals a game, right? And shooting, I think, 35% from 3, which, of course, isn't marksman level numbers, but that's pretty solid for the most part, right? So, Liv McGill, takes out the braids, gets the afro out, and is just balling, right? She does what she does, which is, really attacks you as the defender. Liv McGill, she attacks you at your weak side, gets to the lane, and makes a tough shot, right, over your 6'5" defender. And she hit some threes, some contested, long range twos as well. But I felt like Asia Boone was getting beat off the bounce, beat off the dribble a lot tonight. But, at the same time, she did find a way to kind of overcome things, ended up with some really big rebounds as well to kind of get the win for Kentucky. So, with this one, Kentucky moves to 17-2 and 3-1 in the SEC. Now, what's interesting is Kentucky plays Mississippi State on Sunday, and Mississippi State actually played Vanderbilt tonight and led them for most of the. Vandy's number 5 in the country, in case you don't know, and led Vandy for a lot of that game. And the Commodores ended up coming back. They actually got a double-digit lead. I believe they got up by as much as 11 late, and then Mississippi State kind of came back to close that gap. Vandy ended up winning by 5, but Mississippi State, they're a really good team. And if there's anything we learned from tonight, it's that you cannot go into any game in the SEC and just expect to win. You can't just waltz in and say, they're winless, or Mississippi State is 1-4, or 1-3 in SEC, whatever they are. We should beat them. Especially with that game being on the road, there is no game in the SEC in which you can just say, we're going to win that game. You have to come out, and like you did early and late against Oklahoma, and kind of early and late in this game too, you have to come out and you have to play with high intensity, high energy, right? You can't come out flat. You can't be flat at all because SEC teams, Kentucky is more talented than most teams in the SEC, but the SEC as a whole, even the bottom of the conference, is talented enough to where if you decide to come out flat, if you just come out flat in general, right? Florida, Arkansas, Auburn, these teams, Texas A&M, they can expose you. Georgia, whoever you want to talk about at the bottom of the SEC, they will come out and give you what we saw tonight, which is a scare, right? Kentucky tonight was good enough to overcome that. If they do the same thing on Sunday, they may not be good enough to do it to come back against Mississippi State. So it's just interesting, something to monitor, but that's SEC play for you. Every team, even the teams that suck, are still really good and can still give you a fight. So like I said, Kentucky moves to 17-2, 3-1 in the SEC. I actually need to go look at the SEC standings. Kentucky is I think, is it 3-1 or 4-1 at this point? Let's see, you beat LSU and then Missouri, and then lost to Alabama, Oklahoma, and so 4-1, 4-1 in the SEC. So I say lost, beat, you know what I mean. Kentucky's 4-1 in the SEC, so you are a little bit over quarter way through SEC play. South Carolina and Vandy are undefeated in the conference, and I think other than that, Kentucky is tied for second. Tennessee might still be undefeated in the conference as well. Alabama, no, they lost South Carolina. So Kentucky, I want to say behind South Carolina, Vandy, and Tennessee might be tied for second in the, or I guess that would be tied for fourth, would be technically how that goes. Tied for fourth in the SEC. So there you go. Kentucky needs a big win on Sunday as well on the road, and then you come back. I actually don't know the schedule will be on Sunday, believe it or not. It's so hard to think about this stuff when you're on the go, right? But regardless, we'll talk about that when we get there. Pretty sure Kentucky plays at Tennessee. Kentucky does play at Tennessee next Thursday. That's who it is. But regardless, Cats get the win. We're going to get out of here. If you enjoyed this rapid reaction, maybe even somewhat enjoyed it, like, comment, subscribe, and do all those wonderful things for us. I appreciate it. Stephen Peak appreciates it. We all here at KSR appreciate it. Kentucky gets the big-time win. Kentucky gets the job done. Like I said, I'm going to get out here, actually get back inside, do some post-game content that you all will hopefully consume. I thank you for joining this rapid reaction. I'll see you all next time. Go Cats. Thank you and God bless.